So I was just reading an article and I want to answer a question that came up within the article. It said, why did Jesus come in sinful flesh? How could a holy God come in sinful flesh? And I just want to just like talk through this a little bit. Jesus had to come in sinful flesh to show us that we could be free from the flesh. If he came and he was just holding them, everyone would just have the excuse, well, of course he was, God, it was completely perfect, and he was in a perfect body. He had perfect, there's no way that he could sin in his perfection and all of this, but he didn't come as a divine being. He was divine, but he came as a fleshly man because the flesh tempted him just like we are tempted. And so there's a scripture that says that he was tempted in all the ways that we were, but yet he overcame sin. So in the same way, that's why he came that way, to show us that we too can overcome the sins of the flesh through him. Only by the power that he gives, only by the strength that he gives us, only by the desire to even want to overcome the sin, can we overcome sin in the flesh. Now, people have this thing saying, well, you can't be free from sin. I personally believe we can be free from sinful flesh, because sin that we commit in the flesh, because Jesus did it, and we have him, and we can be led by him. Well, we can't. The sin that we cannot be free from, which is why I think we can't say, the scripture says, if any man says that he's without sin, he's a liar, because our minds, we sin in our mind all the time. Now, can you stop the works of the flesh? If you're living by the spirit and you're not living by the flesh, you can kill the sin in your flesh. It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to be take time. But that one thing you can't control is your mind. That's why we need to renew our mind daily. We need to renew it daily, because you can see something happen and immediately have a thought, and it's a sinful thought. So we are never going to be sinless until he returns. But to tell people that they cannot overcome sin in the flesh is a lie, because we see Messiah did it, and through him we are able to do the same. So yeah, sorry, my son was calling. So if we're told in scriptures we're overcomers, what are you overcoming? If we're told that we can be free, what are we being freed from? So we can't pity pat sin. We can thank God for his grace that covers us every time that we fall, but we can't make it seem like we too cannot be free from sin. Because if we are willing, if we are obedient, if we are following instructions, if we are living by the Spirit, if we are allowing the Spirit to lead us in all things, we can be free from the sin in our flesh. And those actions that the Bible speaks of, that describe what living after the flesh looks like. So, yeah, the article is interesting. There's not everything in there I agree with. And that was just one of the things that came up. But I thought it was an interesting question. And yeah, what do you think? Like, why do you think he came in flesh? Why do you think Jesus had to come in a sinful body, sinful flesh? Because all flesh is sinful, but he had all the same temptations we did, and he didn't sin. That's what scripture says. And so how do you explain to people why he did this? What's your position if someone asks you, why did he come in sinful flesh? Why did Jesus come in flesh? What would your answer be?